Hey there, 8th graders. Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide for this lesson because honestly, what we're talking about today is a total game changer. We are going to tackle a crucial skill that will completely transform how you handle your schoolwork. We're talking about mastering your research scope, specifically looking at broad versus narrow topics. By the end of our time together, you're going to be equipped to conquer any research project with total confidence and, most importantly, with true wisdom.
Okay, be honest with me for a second. Have you ever sat down at your computer, your fingers just kind of hovering over the keyboard, staring at this blindingly blank screen? Your teacher just assigned a massive research paper, and suddenly, you just freeze. It's literally the worst feeling, right? Well, that blank screen panic usually happens for one of two reasons. Either your topic feels impossibly massive and you have no idea where to even start, or it feels so frustratingly tiny that you can't find a single thing to say. Well, today, we are going to fix that problem forever.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the research dilemma. Then, understanding topic scope. Third, the broad and narrow. Fourth, adjusting your topic. And finally, we'll wrap up with the godly learner.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the research dilemma.
Before you type a single sentence, or even open in a new tab on your browser, you face a foundational challenge. To solve it, we actually have to change how we think about the word research. You see, research isn't just some boring chore your teacher makes you do to earn a grade. Listen to this incredible verse from Proverbs 4:7. It says, "The beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding." When you sit down to research, you are actively participating in this exciting God-honoring pursuit. You're seeking true understanding. When you frame your homework as a quest for wisdom, the whole process just takes on so much more purpose.
Moving right along to Section 2, Understanding Topic Scope.
Now that our mindset is in the right place, let's dive into the actual mechanics. We're going to look at the ultimate tool for relieving your research stress, and that is scope. So what is it? Scope is simply the established boundaries of a project. It determines exactly how much information is needed and how deep you can actually go. Think about a team of scientists trying to cure a disease, or maybe a business trying to launch a new product. They can't just set out to fix everything, right? They have to define their boundaries. They need to know exactly what's included in their project and, just as importantly, what's left out. Well, your research paper works the exact same way. Setting your scope literally determines your success. And this brings us to what I like to call the Goldilocks problem of research. On one extreme, you've got a topic that is just way too broad. It covers a massive category, goes in a million different directions, and leaves you feeling totally overwhelmed. It's like being dropped in the middle of a giant forest without a map. But then, on the other extreme, you have topics that are too narrow. This is when you zoom in so tightly on one tiny detail that there just isn't any information out there to find. A topic that narrow leaves you completely frustrated, with nothing left to say after writing maybe one paragraph. So our goal is to find that just right middle ground, where your research is manageable but still packed with rich detail.
Let's see what this looks like in practice in Section 3, the broad and narrow.
Let's look at some real-world examples so you can spot these broad and narrow topics in the wild. Imagine your topic is World War II. If you hand in a paper proposal that just says World War II, your teacher is going to hand it right back. Why? Because it is way too broad. Think about it. It spans years, dozens of countries, thousands of battles, massive cultural shifts. You could literally write a whole library of books on it and still not cover everything. But what if you narrow it down to the role of women in U.S. factories during World War II? Suddenly, you have a specific time, a specific place, and a specific group of people. Now that is a brilliant, manageable, just right topic. Now, here's a look at the exact opposite issue. Let's say you propose writing about the effect of one lunchroom rule on recycling in a single class. Okay, super specific, but way too narrow. The problem is, you are never going to find credible, peer-reviewed books or articles written about your specific 8th grade class's lunchroom rule. It just doesn't exist. So in this case, we have to zoom out. If we broaden it to the effect of school lunchroom policies on recycling in public schools, boom! Now you have a rich topic where you can actually find data, scientific studies, and expert opinions.
You also have to remember that your project's purpose and format completely change what your scope should be. Let's say you're assigned a quick 5-minute presentation for the class. If your topic is the entire history of aviation, no way. You are going to run out of time before you even mention the jet engine. It's just too big for 5 minutes. But if you zoom in and focus on the Wright brothers' contribution to modern flight, you can comfortably and effectively teach your classmates something really meaningful in that short time frame. You always want to match your scope to your project's specific needs.
Okay, let's talk about how to fix things in Section 4, adjusting your topic.
Recognizing a bad topic is only half the battle, right? You need to know exactly how to fix it when you realize your scope is totally off balance. So here is your practical toolkit. Step 1. Act like a detective and evaluate the amount of information you're finding. If you search your topic and get 3 million hits pulling you in 100 directions, it's too broad. If you get 0 hits, it's too narrow. Step 2. If it's too broad, add limits. You can turn that focus style by adding a specific time period, a geographic location, or a certain audience, kind of like we did with the WWI factory workers. And step 3. If your topic is too narrow, just remove those limits. Zoom out to a wider audience or a bigger time frame so you can capture more available research.
All right, now it is your turn to apply these boundaries. Consider this a little knowledge check to take home with you. First is the causes of the Great Depression, broad or narrow. Think about how many causes there actually were over the course of those years. Second, how would you narrow down the invention of the smartphone? Maybe try focusing on one specific company or year. Third, how do you broaden the impact of wearing uniforms in one classroom? Fourth, try coming up with your own broad and narrow versions for a massive topic like music and culture. And finally, in your own words, why does scope even matter in research? I highly encourage you to jot these down and really test your new skills.
And that brings us to our final part today, Section 5, the godly learner.
Let's wrap up our lesson by talking about the why behind all of this, looking through the HeroesMart Academy philosophy. You see, we intertwine biblical morality directly with our education, and there's a very specific reason for that. Simply becoming smarter or more capable just isn't enough. In fact, education without biblical morality can actually be harmful. If you're incredibly intelligent but completely lack a moral compass, all that knowledge can easily lead you down the wrong path. Your knowledge and intelligence shouldn't just make you a better student or a better worker. They must empower you to make wise, God-honoring choices in your everyday life.
Romans 8:6-7 shares such a powerful truth on this. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." As you pursue academic excellence, as you master awesome skills like research scope, structuring essays, or understanding history, your goal should always be to keep your mind spiritually focused. Centering your mind on God, on absolute truth, and on making righteous choices is what ultimately leads to life and peace. Because let me tell you, a sharp mind guided by a godly spirit, that is an unstoppable force for good in this world.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. I really want you to ask yourself this. How will you use your newly perfectly scoped research skills to seek wisdom and make righteous choices today? Remember, every single project your teacher hands you is an opportunity to seek true understanding. So don't let that blank screen intimidate you ever again. You've got the tools, you know how to set the boundaries, and you have a God-given purpose to do incredible work. Thank you so much for hanging out and learning about Research Scope with me today. Now go out there and get researching.